You've probably heard it from your doctor more than once. Just try to walk a little every day. And maybe you nodded, said sure, and didn't think much of it. Because honestly, how much can walking really do? It's not like you're training for a marathon, it's just putting one foot in front of the other. But here's what your doctor doesn't always have time to explain in a 15-minute appointment. Why it works. The actual chain of events that starts the moment you take those first few steps and builds quietly, steadily, every single day you show up. Because once you understand the mechanism, it stops feeling like a chore and starts feeling like something you genuinely don't want to skip. So let's break it down. 8 things that happen inside your body when you walk consistently, especially after 60. Number 1. Your muscles start doing your pancreas a favour. Most of us were taught that muscles are just for moving things, but here's what the research actually shows. When you walk, your skeletal muscles pull glucose directly out of your bloodstream, and they do it without waiting for insulin. There's a protein called GLUT4, GLUT4, that gets activated the moment you start moving. Think of it as a side door into the muscle cell that glucose can slip right through. No insulin required. For anyone managing pre-diabetes, type 2 diabetes, or blood glucose that's been creeping up over the years, this matters. Studies have found that a 15-minute walk after a meal can reduce your post-meal blood sugar spike by about 1/3 compared to just sitting. That's not a medication. That's movement doing metabolic work your pancreas would otherwise have to handle alone. Number 2. Your brain grows. Literally. There's a protein most people have never heard of, called BDNF. Brain-derived neurotrophic factor. Think of it as fertilizer for your neurons. It helps brain cells communicate more efficiently, and it actually supports the growth of new ones. Walking increases BDNF production, especially in the hippocampus, the region of your brain responsible for memory and learning. Researchers at the University of British Columbia tracked older adults over 6 months and found that regular walkers had a measurably larger hippocampus at the end of the study than those who didn't walk. Not just better function, physical growth. For anyone concerned about cognitive decline, dementia risk, or just keeping their mind sharp as they age, this is one of the most important findings in the research. Number 3. Your arteries become more flexible. Every time you walk, your heart works a little harder and your blood vessels respond. Over time, the cells lining your arteries, called endothelial cells, release a compound called nitric oxide. And nitric oxide signals the arterial walls to relax and widen. The result? Your arteries become more elastic. A year-long study found that people who walked 30 minutes a day, 5 days a week, had measurably lower arterial stiffness than sedentary participants. That's a big deal after 60, because arterial stiffness is one of the primary drivers of high blood pressure and increased cardiovascular risk as we age. Walking doesn't just support your heart. It improves the plumbing the heart depends on. Number 4. Your body's inflammation levels come down. You may have heard your doctor mention inflammatory markers, things like C-reactive protein or CRP on your blood work. Chronic low-grade inflammation is now understood to be a contributing factor in heart disease, joint deterioration, cognitive decline, and a number of other conditions that tend to show up in our 60s and beyond. Here's the good news. Regular moderate walking is one of the most well-documented ways to reduce systemic inflammation. The body treats movement as a signal that things are working the way they should, and it regulates accordingly. Number 5. Your joints get the nourishment they've been missing. This is the one that surprises most people, especially those who avoid walking because their knees or hips bother them. Here's something most people don't know. Cartilage, the cushioning tissue in your joints, has no direct blood supply. It gets its nutrients from synovial fluid, the fluid inside the joint space. And that fluid only circulates properly when you move. Sitting for long stretches essentially starves your cartilage. Walking pumps synovial fluid through the joint, delivers nutrients, and clears out waste products. In orthopedics, there's a phrase, "Motion is lotion." It's not just a saying. Real quick, if this is giving you a clearer picture of why walking matters, go ahead and hit like. It helps more people find this kind of breakdown. Now, let's keep going. Number 6. Your mood regulation gets a lasting upgrade. Most people know that exercise releases endorphins, but what most people don't know is that consistent walking appears to gradually recalibrate how your brain responds to its own mood-regulating chemistry, including serotonin. It's not just a temporary lift, it's a structural change over time. A large study published in JAMA Internal Medicine found that people who walked briskly for as little as 35 minutes a day had significantly lower rates of major depression comparable to low-dose antidepressant effects in mild to moderate cases. For older adults navigating life transitions, loss, or social isolation, that's not a small finding. Number 7. Your body gets better at burning fat for fuel. When you walk at a comfortable, moderate pace, one where you can still hold a conversation, your body runs primarily on fat as its energy source. This is different from high-intensity workouts, where your body tends to burn glucose instead. And at 60 and beyond, when muscle mass naturally declines and metabolism shifts, training your body to access stored fat more efficiently is genuinely valuable. 30 minutes a day, 5 days a week. Over the course of a month, that's roughly 10 hours of your body preferentially using fat for fuel. The number on the scale matters less than the metabolic habit you're building. Number 8. Your sleep gets deeper and more restorative. Research tracking wearable device data found that people who accumulated 7,000 or more steps per day fell asleep faster, spent more time in deep restorative sleep, and woke up less during the night. Part of this is physical. Your body has genuinely exerted itself and needs recovery. But part of it is hormonal. Walking helps normalize your cortisol rhythm throughout the day. Cortisol is the hormone that should peak in the morning and taper off by evening. A disrupted cortisol pattern is one of the most common reasons older adults lie awake at night, even when they're exhausted. Regular walking helps get that rhythm back on track. Now, I want to be straightforward with you about something. A lot of people try walking for a week, don't feel dramatically different, and quietly stop. And I understand that, because the changes I just described don't appear in 7 days. But here's what the research actually shows us about the timeline. In the first week, your blood glucose response after meals is already improving, measurably. By 30 days, your cardiovascular system has begun adapting. Arteries more responsive, resting heart rate likely a few beats lower. By 90 days, consistent walkers in clinical studies show meaningful shifts in mood, cognitive performance, and inflammatory markers. Your body isn't experiencing isolated events. It's receiving a repeated signal, and after 60, that signal is especially important, because the body's default without it is a slow drift towards stiffness, metabolic sluggishness, and cognitive decline. Movement is, in a very real sense, the instruction your body is waiting for. The threshold that most of the research points to, 20 to 30 minutes at a pace that slightly elevates your breathing most days of the week. Not a race, not a competition, just enough to let your body know you mean it. So here's my invitation to you. Start with 20 minutes a day for the next 30 days. Not when you feel like it, every day, because your body adapts to what it experiences most often. And 30 days is exactly long enough to feel your first real shift. Drop a comment below and tell me how many days you're committing to. I read every one of them. And if you want to understand what happens when you pair walking with one other simple daily habit, the kind of thing your doctor would absolutely approve of, I made a video that breaks that down. It's right here. If you're new here, subscribe. This channel is built on one idea. Understanding why something works is the most powerful motivator there is. See you in the next one.